and Cynthia Hagenberger, and they'll be performing tonight with some interesting music. Like we started a new concept on the show, like it's a mental health show, and music is really soothing for mental health. Jacob, can you put the American flag up?
Oh, maybe.
If you can. I forgot to tell you. That's my fault again. If we can. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And to my right is the lovely Emily Welch, co-host. Glad to see you, Emily.
Thank you, Bob.
And to her right is the intelligent and very debonair Denver Nobles. And to Denver's right is computer guru, man of all seasons, Dr. Richard Phelps. Hi, Richard. And we come into your homes to talk about mental health and the human condition, and to give our insight into how to live a happy and productive life, even with disabilities, no matter what you have, And to start off the show, I would like to talk, like I said, like I was telling Denver earlier, this, we talk a lot about God. This isn't a religious show, this isn't a man-made religious show. This is more like a spiritual, we add spirituality into our show, because if you have man's spirit lives forever. I don't know if you believe it or not, but I believe it. It's my reality. And like music is spiritual, and it makes you feel good. So does a spiritual life that makes you feel good. So we believe in I believe in Jesus. That's my religion, I guess you could say. So this is a spiritual show, and to start off, we're going to be asking for prayer, but I'm going to read this. Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for calling me to be a fellow workman, a joint promoter, and a laborer together with you. I commit to pray and not to give up. Jesus, you are the Son of God, and I will never stop trusting you. You are my high priest, and you understand my weaknesses. So I come boldly to the throne of my gracious God. There I receive mercy, and we all need mercy, and find grace to help when I need it. There are times I do not know what I ought to pray for. Holy Spirit, I submit to your leadership and thank you for interceding for us with groans that words cannot express. You search hearts and know the mind of the Spirit because you intercede for the saints in accordance with God's will. Therefore, I am assured and know that with God being a partner in my labor, all things work together and are fitting into a plan for my good, because I love God and am called according to his design and purpose. And ladies and gentlemen, the reason I stress God so much is, if y'all have been watching the show and know my story, y'all will know I'm a walking miracle from where I was 24 years ago and what I've been through, But anyway, before we go on the show, we would like to ask prayers for first of all, Merlin Smith, who is a retired Air Force colonel and is the father of Carolyn, one of our co-hosts. And Merlin is in the hospital. He's in his 80s, and we ask for prayer for him. And also ask for prayer for Jerry and Carol DePlantis. Those are our friends. Carol suffered with cancer, and they're very, very good friends of ours, being Denver's,
Yes.
And I asked for prayers for, I think his name is Charlie Chardonnay, who is the father of the cook at St. John's restaurant. I mean, it's going on in St. Martinville. And I also asked for prayers for Richard, can you think of prayers for anybody?
Yes, Sue, last name is, initial is V. She asked for prayer for her mother, who is being planned to be admitted to the hospital. She stopped eating, stopped doing a lot of self-care. She's very elderly. Also for my mother Connie in Seattle.
Yes.
She's having more dementia. It's not Alzheimer's, but I'm asking for prayers to the right timing to go up and see her either between Thanksgiving and Christmas or right after New Year's. And there are veterans out there who have anonymously asked for our prayers. This is a very tough time for some veterans. Some of them do not want to remember what they've been through, and if this is an okay time, I have a short little statement.
Yes,
that
let's read
it.
This is from a veteran, what he wrote.
He's a U.S. Marine Corps Vietnam veteran. His first name is Maurice, and I was very moved by these words he shared today. What Veterans Day means to me. All this day and Memorial Day does for me is bring back memories that I care to forget. I am left to wonder why people feel the need to thank me for killing another human being. It is a day of reflection for brothers who were lost. A day of thanks for your own life in making it back. But it is also a day to deal with the shame that comes for your deeds in the taking of another life. So when I receive my thank you messages from people, I will continue to politely thank them. But what I'm really hoping for is that they would take that energy and work towards making the world a better place, so that in the future they won't have to thank another war veteran. In other words, what he's saying, let's try to work towards peace and love and harmony versus war is miserable. And what I know personally some Vietnam vets, to this day, they are struggling either with mental illness, guilt, shame, remorse. And the best you can do is be their friend and listen to them and pray with them.
Yes, like our veterans are the reason this country isn't overtaken by communism or really socialism or dictatorship or anything like that is because of our veterans. If it wouldn't be for our veterans, this might be a slave country. I know slavery is horrible and it goes on, but thanks to our veterans from Bunker Hill to the Ho Chi Minh Trail to Battle of the Bulge in World War II and all the battles our heroes have fought. We thank you. I think 20 million Americans are veterans or have been veterans, and a lot have died for that thing in the background, the American flag, for our freedom of speech to say what we want and to live in relatively freedom, I would like to name a few of them that I know from St. Martinville. And first of all, Ed Bowie. Ed Bowie, the director of AOC, is a Vietnam veteran. Mm-hmm. One of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. And then some other veterans. Benny Duchesne, a friend of mine. Darryl Savoy. Bug-Eye Deloney. Buster Bazerow. Let me see if I can name some more.
My dad is 87 years old, and he's a World War II.
What's his name, Denver?
His name is Denver Noble Sr.
Denver Noble Sr. Yeah.
There's a gentleman named Victor who sells peanuts every festival. He is a World War I veteran. He does not look a day over 60. He's 91.
I think he's a World War II veteran.
World War I, Bob. And I have a friend I'd like to acknowledge tonight. He is a musician, Dick Dale. He was a U.S. Marine Corps Vietnam veteran. And my own grandfather on my mother's side, an artillery shell blew up next to him in the trenches in France. He lost his right eye vision. And my father was in the Navy, stayed stateside, taught engine mechanics. And there are many, many more. I have a cousin, Scott, that served over in what they call the sandbox in the Middle East. And he is doing better. And there are many, many more that are unseen, unspoken, that just
and our
friendship.
I would also like to mention my brother, David Bienvenu, who is a colonel. he's a retired colonel in the Marine Corps Reserve, Marines, you know.
Wow.
That's the toughest unit. And also my first cousin, I can't forget about this guy. This guy is quite a hero. Danny Bayroyd, my cousin, who was in Vietnam, got shot and wounded in the head, you know. And he left, he came back to St. Martinville, went to college, became a teacher. I think he raised had 2 or 3 daughters and married his beautiful high school sweetheart, and he's doing well. And we salute all you heroes, you know, and we know y'all have gone through some tough times, you know, and thank God that the VA, I know it doesn't heal everything, and I know the tough times y'all go through, but you know, I would just like to say there is a God, and God praise. And I would like to also talk to the people that are alone by themselves watching, with no one to talk to or anything like that. And we've all been there when we think nobody cares about us and we're all alone, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good intro for Denver here and what he has to
Okay,
say
yeah.
to us today.
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm glad to see Emily's back on the show and doing as well as she's doing.
Thank you.
We do the NAMI Connection support group on the first and third Sundays at First Lutheran Church, and usually she does the main facilitating now. And our group is continuing to grow. If you have someone in your family that has a diagnosis, we really would like for you guys to come to the support group. It's for people with diagnosis. It's called NAMI Connection. And just across the hall, because of the transportation issues that most people with diagnosis have, is family to family, where their mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, or anyone that cares for that person in any kind of way, be able to be in a support group as well to help them function as the best they can, take some stress off. Our biggest thing that I'd like to announce tonight is really important, is we've started a NAMI Connection support group in New Iberia. Here again, this is for the people who have mental health diagnoses, and it's held on Mondays, first and third Mondays, I believe is right. But anyway, it's at New Iberia City Park in the VFW Hall, which is the one that has the big blue jet out in front of it. And we actually have a contact now in New Iberia, and we really would like for the people in New Iberia to take this number at heart and kind of remember this, because the group will continue to grow down there. Emily and I and Bob, we go and try to be of support to Sarah Gary is the girl's name who runs this group. She and Emily were trained at the same time to be facilitators. And Sarah's telephone number for you guys that's got a pen or a pencil and really interested in doing the New Iberia thing is 337-335-8697. Or of course you can call me at my number that Bob and Richard announce all the time, which is 337-849-6764.
Yes.
So, go ahead, Bob.
Well, go ahead then.
We just know that support works, and there's no reason for no one person not to be able to get to the support group and have the opportunity to see that there are a lot of us people, including everybody in this room, who are very highly functioning, who have had a diagnosis. Mine is 43 years. And I'm just thankful that we're able to get these opportunities out there for people with a diagnosis. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Okay, and like we said, this is the name of the show is Insight into Mental Health, and we try to reach the people out there and talk about mental health issues, ideas, and ways to cope with this life. If you have a diagnosis, or even if you don't have a diagnosis. You know, like we've all been hurt, we've all been betrayed, we've all been through the roof. We're in this all together, ladies and gentlemen. And to kind of give a little entertainment and make everybody feel good, we got Josh and Cynthia, and they're going to play a few songs. Because songs are like music from heaven. So if y'all ready.
Sure.
You
Well, I
first.
wanted to mention, my dad is a Vietnam vet. His name is John David Jones.
Don,
And
okay,
he is severely paranoid schizophrenic.
okay.
And NAMI, spelled N-A-M-I, if I'm correct?
Yes.
Yes.
National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, was present in Pennsylvania where I grew up, and it helped my family tremendously
Yeah.
deal with his discovery of the mental illness.
Yeah.
So it's worth it to give it a call.
Did you find your
Thank you.
father's health improved when he found NAMI?
For a time, it did,
For
but
a time,
a condition as severe as he has it,
Yeah.
there is improvement, and then there's falter, and then improvement and falter. So
Right, right.
it's
Yeah.
a tough thing to deal with, but
Oh, yeah.
he lives in Florida now, so
That doesn't help.
What part of
Yeah.
Pennsylvania?
northeast Pennsylvania in the Pocono Mountains.
Okay.
But yeah, they have NAMI all over the place. And
Oh, yeah.
It's a national organization that's very helpful.
Oh,
But thank you, yeah.
Okay, of
Thank
course,
you.
thank you.
Thank you very much for
Oh,
the
you're
input.
welcome. We'll play our thing now. I guess we should stand a little over here.
If y'all wanna stand,
Oh, wait.
y'all can.
Oh, there's a microphone here.
Yeah.
And there's a camera.
He's got y'all just get
Thank you,
over-
Jacob White. Got your act
Yes,
together.
thank you, Jacob.
You there.
Doing good.
We did not rehearse this.
We have played these songs.
Just like we said, this is a spiritual show too, and music is spiritual, so.
Yes, we love music.
Well, we call ourselves Nothing Fancy. And it's been recently shortened to Nothing Fancy. We took the H out. In the eye. What we're gonna do first is a song by a friend of ours in Illinois, named Cody. Goes by Chicago Farmer. It's his stage name. And it's a little bit funny and it's a little bit sad, but it's very strong and it's very true. And it's one of my favorite songs
In honor of Veterans Day today.
in honor of Veterans Day. It's called A Dying Soldier's Last Request.
Do you have to use that mic?
Please go tell my mom, thanks for all the love. Hope I've become something that she can be proud of. Please go tell my daddy, thanks for the advice. How to shoot a mean game of pool, treating people nice. Please go tell my wife that I love her so. And all I ever wanted was to have her to hold. Yeah, hold. Please go tell my friends, thanks for all the hugs. Thanks for helping me get on and off of drugs. Please go tell my boss, well, thanks for all the work that I do. Apologize for calling him a jerk. His boss is a jerk. Please go tell my band it was all real fun, playing all of them one-night stands, living on the run. Please go tell my dog I enjoy the walks outside, but he don't understand your talking, but he sure as hell does try. Please go tell my notebook, thanks for all the tales. Thank my old guitar for getting in and out of jail, Tazewell jail. Go tell Uncle Sam we're no longer kin. Took my family's money, never paid us back a cent. Go find the president, won't you get him on the phone? Tell me better bring my brothers and my sisters home, straight home. Go tell all the people everything I have to say. Well, I'd love to tell them all myself, but I'm stuck here in this grave, this grave.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
How about another one?
All right, let's lighten the mood a little bit. This is a song. It's kind of a collage sort of song, a bunch of pieces stuck together, called "Fork and Hay." Forking hay. If you're forking hay, alright, well you can fork straight through the night. So get your fork some forking hay. All day I slave away in this dirty, rotten place, trying to bear the weight of this heavy ball and chain. Never slowing down, not even for a day. They say that I'll be here until my last dying day. My last dying day. My last dying day. They put me in those shackles and they dragged me away. The judge came on out and this is what he said. They put that boy away till his last dying day. My last dying day, my last dying day, dying day.
Sounds real good.
Well, this is an old-timey one that I think everybody, or a lot of people could recognize, maybe.
It's public domain, so it's ours as much as anybody else's. I first heard this song as an instrumental, and then years later I found out it had words and rediscovered it. This is "I Am a Pilgrim."
Oh, yeah.
Traveling
appreciate it.
How did you two end up in Louisiana from Pennsylvania?
He's from Illinois, I'm from Pennsylvania.
We actually came by way of New Mexico.
We met in
So-
Illinois and moved to New Mexico and then we moved here.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's taken 5 years for us to get here, but we're finally here.
Good, good.
We're very
We're glad you're
happy.
It's a good
here.
place.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Glad
What
you-
led you
Yeah.
to Lafayette?
Well, we're glad you're
Work.
here.
I work at South Louisiana Community College.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Great job.
Wow.
Good for you.
People.
You teach what?
Mathematics.
Oh, wow. My daughter might be there someday.
All right.
And
My
you do-
son too, yeah.
And you, Cynthia?
Well, I am currently unemployed. Thanks for asking. I'm waiting till the Christmas break ends because we're going to New Mexico.
Y'all like New Mexico?
Yes.
It's
a
beautiful country.
place. Beautiful.
Awesome.
Beautiful state, yes.
Well, if y'all would like to sit in with the rest of the show,
Thank you.
y'all welcome. And if y'all want to add input, y'all welcome to,
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much, man.
Yeah,
Y'all
that was
great.
fun.
Y'all great.
We call ourselves nothing fancy. He's the fancy one.
Yeah.
What got you all
I just
started
tapped
in
that
bluegrass?
Well, you tapped that washboard
I
pretty
just
good,
tapped it.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
What got you all
Feel the
started
music,
in
girl.
bluegrass? Out of all the musical genres all over the country, what got you started?
Well, I got a banjo. I played guitar, and I got a banjo because I found out that Pete Townsend from The Who
Yeah.
Yeah.
played a banjo.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I got a banjo, and I kind of strummed on it a little bit. But then I started listening to Bela Fleck. And
Oh my goodness.
learning I got one of his books about picking
Awesome.
styles and learned how to do the finger picking. And it's a different world from guitar.
It is.
And that's kind of how I started learning about bluegrass. But I did it kind of backwards. I learned about Yonder Mountain String Band, and then I learned about
Basics.
Hot Rise and Newgrass Revival, and then I learned about Bill Monroe
Yeah.
and Earl Scruggs and the foundations.
Well,
And I learned about it from him, and I just kind of fell in love with it just from the get-go because I like old-timey music.
Mhm.
Like, I like good old stuff that, is on a record and it sounds all scratchy. And so
Hey,
that's
that Watson
great.
family, the Doc Watson
Doc
family,
Watson.
is one of my favorite CDs.
I have
Oh.
some. I have some records, vinyl records. That is Pete Seeger teaching you how to play guitar.
right.
Yes.
Look, I'm from Princeton and stuff.
Maybe I
you
need
know?
to borrow that and learn a little bit.
Yeah, shoot. You want to borrow it? I'll let you borrow it.
All right. We'll work
Well,
out a deal.
we appreciate y'all being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah. And since we went through all the rigmarole of everything, we're going to be talking, the subject we're talking about, and this is a really interesting subject for every man and woman on the face of the earth, the differences between men and women. Let me read some of this. Untaught. Many women find it incredibly difficult to understand men. What you ladies need to understand is that we are totally different. Go figure. And instead of giving up, all of us should try to embrace the differences and accept each other for who we really are. Only then we can use all of this knowledge to our advantages. Like we were talking earlier, that according to statistics, I think women are depressed, seem to be depressed more than men. And Emily was would you
I
like?
think I was just in a hospital. I was in Oceans for a couple weeks there, getting myself back together from being diagnosed schizophrenic into being diagnosed bipolar. And one thing that I noticed, and I was kind of making a little bit of a joke of, is that there's more women within the mental health community that are suffering. Maybe it's because we're victimized a little bit more.
Of course, women are victimized
Yeah.
more and more. Yeah.
Yes, than men. And men, I don't want to code anything that's not supposed to be coded this way, but men seem to hold a little bit stronger onto their mental health than women do. Women really kind of, what I've seen, I'm probably
Or
speaking out of.
Possibly hide their suffering a little bit more effectively.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. There you go.
stoic.
That's
Yeah.
that's a good way of looking at it. 'Cause
Oh.
I didn't know. I mean, just a reflection that I saw. I didn't really put too much thought into it, other than that when women are in the position of being a victim or in the position of mental health, they're suffering more. They're suffering more for how they were raised, or
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right in saying maybe that men know how to hide it better.
Or maybe how about men know how to handle it better?
Sometimes. That's not necessarily true. I
No,
don't think.
no, I
Yeah.
just won't.
I
Well,
just think men are trained to be tough, and
Yeah.
they're brought up to be
Well, let me
tough.
put it this way.
They have emotions, but they're unable to express them well.
Like I might have cried 6 or 7 times in my whole entire life. You know, like we were conditioned not to cry.
Right.
Men are supposed to be that. You know, which is a fallacy, but that's how we were raised, and we're conditioned. You know,
Yeah.
and I guess it would be hard to break the conditioning. You know.
Yeah.
And even if you feel like crying, that feeling still presents itself, but if you can suppress your crying, you're still having that feeling that you want to cry or that you want to scream, but you're suppressing it because you're trained in society to not let that
Yeah,
out, to have
because
control
you're supposed
of your
to be
emotions.
tough,
I would think that
and
would make somebody explosive.
it could
Yeah,
be.
actually,
Maybe that's why we have so many shootings. You know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things, though, if we're going to talk about men and women in mental health, is I know lots of guys who have diagnosis who are much more closer to their mother with having to deal with mental health, whether, you can't, like you said, Bob, in the community, men were taught to be the hard rock, you got to stand up to no matter what goes on and all that. And I just find that from the men's perspective, we tend to go to our mothers more to talk about what's going on with our mental health and stuff. And most of the dads, they got this fallacy that you talking about, where the dad, if you go tell the dad, say I'm bipolar, and I've been bipolar for 43 years and was ostracized from my dad till 2010. And one of the things that came out of that is dads tend to just look at you, especially if you're a guy, not so much the daughter, pick up your bootstraps and move on down the road.
Yeah.
You are not sick. No, you can't have a mental health issue. And so in essence, that's what makes the men so much harder on themselves when they do have a diagnosis. Right. And so, when the females have it, it pretty well devastates if there's children involved. When the mothers have a mental health issue, it's very devastating in the home. But you're right, Bob, the men are supposed to muscle up and head on down the road and don't talk about mental health.
Yeah, like my dad was a pharmacist. He graduated from Loyola as a pharmacist. That's a highly intellectual college.
Right.
Right next to
Job
Tulane.
too. That's
And
star.
yeah, you've got to be smart and and I know they took some psychology courses as little as they had it back then.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad didn't believe in mental illness at all. And my dad never, of course, in life you never know what's gonna happen. Of course, Denver, those are the guys that beat the butts of the Japanese and Germans, and they were tough. They came back from the wars and they got married, started families, brought their kids to church and everything. Yeah. And back then they didn't know how to be nurturing or anything, That's all they knew, I guess.
That's the highest compliment right there, Bob. You couldn't said anything any more important to the veterans than what you just said. That is truly the answer. They took on a responsibility by serving our country, and many of them came back, like you said, with all the stuff that they had going on with them, and that little fallacy we just talked about the bootstraps and all that. They did. They ended up getting married and having children and having a very good life, even though some of them did suffer from, war injuries and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But yes, absolutely. You couldn't pay the veterans a higher compliment than that. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do y'all think would be, like it seems like men and women, of course, physically, there's a physical attraction. But it doesn't seem like men and women can really get along in a lot of aspects, you know?
Right.
You
Right.
A
know,
lot of it depends on their family background. I was raised by a father that was a militarian disciplinarian, and there were certain rules, and if you broke them, you got your butt whooped.
yeah,
And there was very little nurturing love. Your father and my father were very similar.
yeah.
And the mothers were who we went to. You went to your mom, I went to my mom.
I went to my mom for everything.
Yeah. And when my mother went through a difficult time after losing her mother, she went through a crisis of faith for a while. She kind of abandoned her faith of her upbringing, finally came back to it because she was just, at first she was angry. Why did God just take my mother who was only 64? You know, she had a potential of 20 more years. There was an anger and denial, and then finally acceptance. Finally, she made peace with God about it. And when we saw my mother going through that, my father didn't know how to handle it. He wasn't given the toolkit. Now, 30 years later, with more groups like NAMI coming out, hopefully men are going to have more tools. There'll be more understanding between the sexes and not just the stereotyping, the labeling, the
Yeah.
objectifying.
Well, yeah, because women can be just as cold as men can be. They can be.
Yeah.
My mother was particularly cold,
Yeah.
very much so, and because of her upbringing, I think there's is the playing field level, you still hear about, I would love to know what these companies are, women getting underpaid. Why is that still an
Yeah,
argument?
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Understand.
I would like to give some kudos to some people out there, like the married. How long you been married, then?
43 years.
Yeah.
Congrats. How long have you been married, Richard?
It's been about 33 years.
33 years, 43 years. I would like to say my friend Jerry DeFlanders and Carol have been married about 40-something years.
Yeah.
Mike Fuseli and Tina have been married over 20 years.
Right.
Mike is the guy that led me to the Lord, and my life has never been the same 24 years ago. Can y'all think of some other people?
Like
I never once
grandparents.
broke up with my boyfriend.
How long have y'all been together?
Well, I did break up with him when we were younger. I met him when I was 16 and he was going on 18. I was 15 going on 16 and he was 17 going on 18. And we met at the Jersey Shore and it was love at first sight. My life flashed before my eyes when I met him. It was
Wow.
scary. So I did dump him after dating him for a while when we were kids because I was too terrified. He wanted to join the Marines and get married. That was terrifying to me.
You talked him out of it.
Yeah.
The power of a woman.
But then we got back together years later, and and he deals with my mental health. He handles it.
That's
well,
awesome. That's
doesn't he?
awesome.
Yeah.
As you guys know, Andrew, and he,
Andrew is by far, being a man in the position that he's in as far
To
as
take
his
care of her
job goes, he does an excellent job of being there for Emily in her diagnosis. And since
it's
we're talking
necessary.
about men and
Yeah.
women, with diagnosis, here again, like it was said, most of the women, those that have mental health issues, they don't have anyone they can turn to, kind of like what Richard was saying. Where I got blessed was I got diagnosed in 71, and my wife found NAMI in 1991, and she got into the education programs, and Richard did attend the Family to Family for a while, but he's got some stuff going on, and he's now in the Connections group. But you'll find that the majority of the people who join the Family to Family support groups, you're going to see more women wanting to be there because of that mother instinct.
Of course.
They do a better job, and of course, most of us men, younger, when raised like what Richard was, it's hard for us to go talk to our dad about a lot of things, and especially mental health, because men do not take the time to look at their overall health. You know, they're focused on, well, I'm a husband, I'm a father, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And in my case, I'm fourth generation and my children are fifth generation. And I just know that when we are in these places, that the most important thing, whether we be a man or a woman, when it comes to mental health is it's our job to become as educated as we can. It's time to quit looking at mental health as something people call us crazy or whatever. That time is long gone. And my way of explaining that, even working and helping with Emily and stuff with some of the things she's been working through lately,
Yeah.
most important thing that you can do is become educated on mental health.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
My new pet peeve, my slogan is the brain is an organ, and it has a specialist called a psychiatrist who prescribes medicine as the specialist for that organ, just like we have specialists for all of our other organs.
Like diabetes and all that.
Yeah,
Foot
it's
doctors.
a physical health issue, period. Number one, it's a physical health issue. Then it's a mental health issue because of the chemical imbalance in the brain. That is the physical thing about it. You can't take the head off the body and set it over there on the table and feed it
So it
medicine.
doesn't matter what kind of body parts it has?
Not
Like
at all.
Female or male?
Not at all. Not,
But
that doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
If you have it, you have it. And if you're not in a place where you can get to resources and stuff like that, the biggest encouragement that I give, you know, you can be in recovery, and we're trying to make it as physical as possible. People who have cancer, they get chemo treatment, they go into remission. People who have diabetics have to give themselves insulin shots and stuff. And so if you're bipolar, schizophrenic, major depression or whatever, it's a physical health issue. It's time to let that stress, the one that creates stigma, it's time to
Yeah.
let that stuff go.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've learned is
I've learned that you put the greatest stigma on yourself. 'Cause
exactly.
when you accept yourself for what you are and what
Yes.
what you be, it's let it be, you know?
Yeah.
We're going into the holidays, and Bob has mentioned this early on, when the fall of the year comes. We know that this is a real bad time of the year for people with mental health diagnoses, and part of that is yes, believe it or not, there's a diagnosis for being in the wintertime. It's called seasonal affective disorder, where people, you know, their metabolism, if you want to look at it that way, or anything else that's going on, it slows down.
That's
And
why we moved here.
I'm a prime example of that. You know, once Halloween comes around, my seasonal affective disorder comes on, and I
With
stay.
the change of the season.
The time.
Yeah.
The
You're-
The
you're-
time.
amount
It
of
has-
sunlight you get during the day affects your mood.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you
It
know,
has to do
here
with
again,
sunlight,
that's one of the
really.
things we have to learn. I'm so blessed in being able to be the person that I am working in mental health today. I really am. I'm really blessed. Have had a lot of people cross my path and stuff, and you're looking at some brilliant people right here. Bob says this all the time. We're people that's really out there in society, and those people that do not know us as a person having a diagnosis, it really blows their mind when they end up seeing us up on Bob's show.
I'd rather keep the company of people that are in recovery, not recovered, but people in recovery that are with mental illness, other than somebody who goes through this life undiagnosed.
Yeah.
And fighting the fact they may have an illness.
Like we talk about it all the time. Like you see the regular day-to-day people working and everything, and they go to work, they do their thing, and whatever's going on with them, they just deal with it, and we get together to talk about what's going on with us, you know, and you know, anything that goes on in our support groups, you know, and we're there to support each other, you know, and it's huh?
Yeah, it works out beautifully.
It's a great outlet,
Yeah.
and you can talk to people with the same kind of medication you take, or you can troubleshoot, and everybody gives everybody ideas. If you have a problem, how to deal with it. It's a great facility.
The biggest thing the story that I really think is important that the public needs to be aware of is 25% of the population has a mental health issue. We try to bring up as much black and white information as we can. We know 17% of the people may or may not get help. But you know what's really amazing about those of us with a diagnosis is we get up and go to work every day like everybody else does. Our mental health is not something that keeps us from having a good life. But people in the community who do not know that we have mental health, when they find out that you're doing the same job that they are and all that kind of stuff, this is a way we try to reduce the stigma in the working community. And when these guys were getting ready to do their singing and stuff, music and art, man, Emily is an artist. I keep bringing this up in the
And a
support
musician.
group. Yeah,
And you're a musician.
we have so many talented people in the community who have diagnosis, who have not done exactly what Emily's done since she's been here in Louisiana with us, is exactly that, focusing on recovery. Because like I said, cancer goes into remission. You know, the diabetics take the insulin to take care of them. And so we take our medications to help our mental health, which is a physical health issue. And it needs to be out there that these families that are suffering with people who have addictions. Richard came in and gave me a couple of brochures on AA. Before there was any kind of mental health support group in Lafayette, the only place I felt like I could get help was at the AA meetings. So in the 70s up until the 90s, there was no help for mental health.
Right.
You know, you couldn't go see a psychologist necessarily, or you couldn't go see a psychiatrist. So, you know, we've come so far with mental health.
If mental health isn't your thing, but you're still doing damage to yourself, maybe by drinking or being alcoholic or something, AA is another wonderful place, and they have Al-Anon, which is also something that is a very good program too. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, and
Everybody's dealing with something. So what is it, guys?
Yeah,
What is
right.
it?
And like I said earlier about this being a spiritual show, like 24 years ago, like I've been suffering with paranoid schizophrenia for 45 years since diagnosed in the Army in 1970. I've had 50, always worked, always took my medicine. But I would say the greatest thing, and this is, I like to put this out, if you're out there and you're all by yourself, listen to what we say and start talking to your spiritual self, you know, that, you know, like the spirit gives life, you know, like electricity is the source of light and warmth in the home. The spirit is the source that makes us who we are, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, as soon as people will quit trying to psychoanalyze a person that has a mental health issue, and they start looking at the person as it says in the good book, one mind, one body, one spirit. So when we take our medications, those of us with mental health diagnosis, it allows us to function at the best 100% that we can. And like I said, we're no different than a normal person.
Right.
We take our medications. Yeah, we get up and go to a job too. Those of us that are fortunate enough to have had the opportunity to work, we get up and go to work just like everybody else. We pay bills just like everybody else. But our mental health is not a crippling thing for us because we're doing something about it. And that opportunity is there available to anyone that has a diagnosis. And like Bob said, without the support group, you know, people are really like a fish on the bank. They're flopping around, and their families are even worse than that. They're like a whale on the bank flopping around because they don't know what to do to help their family members. And
Call
stuff.
it, if you call it back. I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay, let me see. Yes, caller. Caller.
Hey Bob, it's Carolyn.
Hey,
Hey,
Carolyn.
I just wanted to say thank you for saying, you know, expressing the prayers and concerns for my dad who's in the hospital. And also, I wanted to say about the men and women, we are so different.
Yeah.
And this talk show could go on and on and on about women and men and how they different.
Well, you know, I think there's commonalities between us, though.
Carolyn, turn down your TV, you're getting an echo.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
That's Carolyn who comes on our show.
Yeah.
She goes to support group too.
Oh, okay, I hear you now.
You only said
I hear
there's a
you.
difference between men and women
I hear
because
you
you're so
better.
feminine.
And I'll agree with that.
I would say the better word is complimentary.
Well, I just wish out there that the people who aren't getting the mental support from their families, who even maybe have mental illnesses themselves and they don't know it, or people out there that they're unaware they have mental illnesses, and sometimes it's true. Men are born to be no criers. They can't cry. They bottle stuff up in their stomach. They bottle stuff, all their emotions in their stomach. My son does that. He does that a lot, and he won't. And then he'll explode. He'll just explode one day.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a little bit with women. Women are more sensitive, emotional. Other than I'm not saying men. Men can be emotional and they can be sensitive, but there's not a lot out there. So, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna let you guys go in the show here. So.
We love you, Carolyn. Thank you for all you do.
We're just women are communicators, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you're here on messages. Women do a better job than men. Men are more structured and goal
Generally
oriented.
speaking.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna be going. We thank y'all, Josh and Cynthia, for being on the show. We hope y'all come back.
Thanks for having
It was
us
an
on.
honor to have
We
y'all
hope
on.
y'all come back.
We hope y'all did an
Well,
awesome
we
job.
enjoyed listening to your talk and all the things that you had to discuss.
Well,
And thanks for having us.
Oh, it was an honor. It was an honor.
Absolutely.
Are y'all
We thank
playing
y'all for
tonight?
watching. We hope it has been interesting. Miss Jackie Ballou, I love you. Miss Jackie Ballou is the underwriter of our show. Hi, Patsy Bertrand. Hi,
Lisa.
Jerry, and Carolyn.
Hi, Mom.
Hope you get well, Rosalind.
Hope you get well, Rose.
Yeah.
Do your math homework.
We thank y'all for watching. We hope it has been an interesting show. That's a nice flag. That's what we're here for, this country. And thanks our veterans, our
letting us do
heroes
this, yeah.
that protect us every day of the year, man. Some of them in Iraq, Afghanistan. They've given their lives to save this country, and we thank y'all.
Mental health people do not forget the vets, because we know the vets are part of our community, and we hope that those very vets, if you need mental health, please seek it out. Please come to the support groups, get your family involved.
Thank you, ladies and